Hey, what's up, guys? We're headed far south to escape the cold and spend some time in the North American Chihuahuan Desert. Now, North American Chihuahuan Desert is my favorite desert. It's also home to Big Bend National Park, right along the U.S.-Mexico border. We got ourselves a 33-mile solo backpacking loop there, about 7,400 feet of vertical gain. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We are about 45 minutes from the park entrance. Gonna grab a little sleep. Got these nice plastic window coverings and a whole bunch of gear that's blocking a lot of the other windows, so relatively private, I guess. Gonna read, get some sleep, and get up early to go cache water for this hike. In case you're wondering, by the way, I'm sleeping on a 2-pad thick, like camp mattress thing. Works really well, pretty comfy. Welcome to Big Bend National Park, guys. Home to over 800,000 acres of high mountainous desert, low kind of river desert along the Rio Grande, and everything in between. It's a beautiful place. We're going to cache some water this morning. It is a desert. It's very hard to find water, and it's fairly difficult to carry enough water on the hike that's this length. So we're going to cache some water here and pick it up tomorrow if all goes as planned. So this is where we cache the water. It's called the Homer Wilson Ranch. We now have to drive about an hour up into the Chisos Basin. Gonna get some permits, gonna make some food for this trip. We're gonna hike up into the mountains, gonna camp somewhere right around here, cross down the next day, get the water that we picked up, and then the major challenge is crossing about 13 miles of open desert. Mixing up a Tupperware of oats and almond milk and peanut butter, cocoa powder, honey, some nuts. This is actually all the food I'm going to have, guys. Maybe thinking that's not enough, and you would be correct. It is not enough food. I wish I could tell you some kind of like fancy fasting protocol or something. It's simpler than that. I'm lazy about packing food, and I enjoy the challenge. So yeah, we'll see if we can survive for 3 days on one little container of oatmeal. Alright guys, our first task here is linking up with the Laguna Meadows trail. Found Laguna Meadows. This trail is going to take us up over a mountain pass and get us ready to descend back down to the desert.
Making good time, but probably sweating a bit too much considering I don't have much water on me. Gotta slow down just a little bit.
Somewhere right around there, I think, that's where we'll be crossing the mountain, head back down the other side into the desert. Trying to keep an eye on these brushy elevated areas because mountain lion sightings and attacks do happen here. It's probably a waste of my energy though, it's very unlikely. Here's a better view of the mountain pass that we're aiming for. Getting pretty close.
Sure, it's pretty cold and sweaty, so letting it dry out.
I think consistency is key with something like strength training. I know I'll be out here for a few days, so might as well get a little shoulder training in while I still have the energy. Well, we've done a solid few miles so far, guys. Last little steep push here up to the top of the mountain pass, and then we can start looking for a campsite on the other side. We've made the mountain pass, which as you can see is a little saddle between two high points. It's also a very nice little pile of dark sand over here, black or gray sand. It's very soft. I've taken naps here before and probably gonna take a quick little nap here now. Don't be fooled by the big trees, cacti everywhere out here in the desert. Doesn't feel good to kick one, so if you're hiking out here, be careful, bring tweezers. Exactly 4.2 miles later, we have made the Laguna Meadow Blue Creek Trail Junction. Now it's time to head down Blue Creek and start descending our way towards the desert, but first a campsite. We gotta find a campsite first. Here's a better look at the valley we are descending down through. Kind of loops on around to the left and back to the right, empties out eventually in the desert, and that's where we'll end up tomorrow, where our water is cached. We have made the zone camping boundary. After this point, we can camp wherever we want. So we're going to be on the lookout now for a soft, hopefully mostly rock and cacti free spot to put a one-person tent down. And I think we're doing pretty well in terms of sunshine, so may have time to read and hang out a little bit. I spy a beautiful little campsite over here, tucked away along the side of the trail. It's actually a spot I've seen before. I've never camped here though, so I'm going to give this a shot. It gets cold at night in the desert and the wind doesn't help, but we're surrounded on all sides by walls of foliage, so I think that should help buffer any potential wind. There's a pile of dead leaves over here that are pretty soft. I want to transfer them over here to this flat area and make a little bed of leaves. Gotta remove some of these pesky rocks though first. And then once we do all that, can toss the tent and sleeping pads down top of the leaves. Should be very soft and comfortable. And it'll also help conserve a little bit of body heat, having the bed of leaves. You'll want to try to make the bed of leaves thickest around the areas where your hips and shoulder blades will be in contact with the ground. That makes a big difference.
Once you put the tent down and lay down, your body weight's going to compress it anyway. And so it's best just to compress it right away with your feet. Find any uneven spots, any rocky spots, and just fix it before you get the tent down.
Other than the bed of leaves, I also have one of these, I guess you call it like accordion style sleeping pads, that orange thing underneath. And I just take 2 or 3, in this case 3, like $5 blankets, little fleece blankets from Walmart. They roll down and compress to nothing in the backpack, and when stacked on top of each other like this are, in my opinion, significantly more comfortable than the blow up backpacking sleeping pads that people use. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm 200 pounds and kind of stocky, like maybe just not built like the typical backpacker. Maybe that's why the inflatable sleeping pads feel so awful to me. For whatever reason, they feel awful. But a cute little rolled up dog blanket feels great, so this is what I use. I'm also using the REI Hunker Down 20 sleeping bag. Got to eat dinner, read, and take a nap under the setting sun. Some of my favorite things to do on the hike, but not quite done reading yet, so I'm going to make a little chair here. Saw a good place to do this earlier. Read a bit more, and then climb on into the tent for the night. Thanks for tagging along, guys. If you have any questions about gear or the hike, leave them in the comments section. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, I invite you to like and subscribe. And stay tuned for the rest of this hike in part 2. I'll see you guys then.